We launched it and then we sold out in 10 days.
Today we are joined by Megan Jones, co-founder and CEO of viral brand Buy Babes.
And then we got the other 1,500 units and then we sold out again.
You build up a reputation on TikTok as like that lash serum that everybody wants but can't get. Megan founded the business in 2023. Buy Babes bounced onto the scene with their award-winning lash serum and now branching to skin and lips amongst other things.
I think what you did really well, which I think a lot of business owners fail at, is
today we want to find out about how brands can harness the power of social.
Heather grew from 100k to 1 million followers in a year. We scanned the internet of anything relevant to the beauty industry so we can stay on top of marketing.
I think a lot of influencers start businesses, a lot of people join with influencers to start businesses. Do you think that was like an integral part of the success of what you're doing?
You're listening to the Growth Files podcast, powered by Prospa, the fastest growing and most exciting e-com growth agency in the UK.
Andromeda at the start of the year caused havoc with so many brands that had these incredible scaling plans and have actually just go, you know what, 2026.
Survival.
I'm Ollie Heum, my co-host is e-com heavyweight Ed Weston.
I think that in 2027, I think it's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think that's such a valuable skill that a lot of founders don't have. Like, you need to know that.
Without further ado, Megan, hi, how you doing?
Hello, I'm great, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having us. We're in your office in Manchester. Your salon's upstairs, right?
Yeah.
Cool. How many people work in this office at the moment?
3 plus me, and then 2 in the clinic upstairs.
Okay, it's quite a lot of people to then think about.
Yeah.
You started Buy Babes, obviously. Boss Babes is the aesthetics clinic upstairs. Tell us a little bit about how Buy Babes started as a brand and maybe your origins as a kind of salon owner first.
So Buy Babes started as a brand because, so I had my clinic for like 4 years, maybe 5 years. I feel like time goes so quick, doesn't it? I don't even know what day it is. I started my salon in 2019 and then I've always wanted to have a bit more of a passive income. So obviously with aesthetics, you're trading your time for your money, and I always had a vision that I wanted to like have an empire to like empower women. And I feel like with my aesthetics clinic, because I was doing the injecting, I just didn't really have any time to do anything else or anything. So I tried a lot of products like during that time of building my clinic. So I had a boutique in lockdown. I've tried selling strip lashes. I tried selling lashes to lash extension artists, lash cleansing foam for your lashes as well. Just so many products that never worked. So I was always just on the hunt basically for a product, trying to crack the e-com space. I remember I moved to Manchester and I had loads of friends that were like, they work for themselves, but they could work from home. They could travel whilst they were working. And that's always been the lifestyle that I wanted to live. But little did I know, to be fair, even though I can do that now, I don't do that because I'm just too busy working. It gets like that, doesn't it? You're like, oh yeah, I'll work for myself and I'll have all this time. But no, I just stay in the office and work or in my apartment. Yeah, so I was trying loads of products and then basically Heather came to my salon. I remember I went to a conference actually where Louise was speaking and she was like, you need to get on TikTok. Like TikTok is the best. Like if you want to be a brand, you have to be on TikTok. So I had my aesthetics at the time. I was like, well, how can I get on TikTok? Because I'm a service-based business. And
was this like 2021?
Yeah, what year? I was going to say, what year was that?
Yeah, this was like 2021, 2022.
Okay.
And at the time when I was 21, I got a business coach and I said to him, I want to do 100K, 250K, 500K, a million, because I wanted to do 1 million in revenue by the time I was 25. And that's always what I told myself from when I was like 18. I was like, I need to do 1 million by 25. And obviously it was 2021. I was like, I've got 4 years. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm barely making like $2,000 a month. I was like, what am I going to do? Got my business coach, went to this conference. Peter was like, you need to get on TikTok. Then Heather came to my salon to get some Botox done. It was in Cape Verde when I went for Christmas. I was on TikTok and I saw her on like my For You page and I was like, I swear that's my client. So I clicked on it and I realized she was promoting like a tan brand at the time and she had 60,000 followers. And I thought, perfect. She's a uni student. I was like, I'm just going to ask her. So she said that I messed her on Christmas Day and didn't say Happy Christmas, but I think I did. So anyway, I said to her, I was like, would you be interested in doing my TikTok? Like 2 posts a day. I think I said I'll pay you £10 a TikTok.
A tenner?
Yeah, £10 a TikTok. But obviously back then, like,
It's probably good money back then for TikTok.
No, she was a uni student, so she was getting £280 a week she was getting for doing 2 TikToks a day. And obviously she's just naturally good in front of the camera, so that didn't take her too long to do. So I thought she's getting a great deal, you know. So she started doing it for my clinic. She did that for like a year. And within that time, she grew to like 100K. And I was listening to a podcast one day and it just really inspired me. And I was just constantly still thinking on the move, like, what can I do? What can I do? And then I just had a light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God, Heather's community, like all always speak about her lashes. I tried a lash serum and it irritated me. It gave me dark circles. Heather's also using a prostaglandin lash serum and her eyes were a bit irritated as well. So I said to Heather, I was like, oh my God, I was like, shall we start a lash brand? Like, you can be the face of it. Like, obviously I've got the business experience. Let's start a lash brand together. She was like, yeah, why not?
Were you good friends at that point or did it quickly
No, like I feel like with me and Heather, we were never really like friends first because obviously she worked for me technically. So obviously I had a friendship with her, like I love her. She is my friend and I very much value her as my friend today. But we didn't have like a friendship first. It was more like she would come and do TikToks and that would be that. And then I think I took her out for a meal a few times just to say thank you for my clinic because she grew my clinic to like 40k on TikTok, I think. Yeah, so we started this. So I was like to Heather, like, oh my God, like, let's go. And literally by the next day, I thought of a name. Like I'd been looking at manufacturers. I'd found a manufacturer and I was like, right, ordering samples. A couple of weeks later, like she came to my clinic, which used to be down the road. And we did a video on my camera where she was just like, hi, my name's Heather. You might have seen me for my lashes. Like, and I'm starting a lash serum brand. I remember I got my old business coach to help me script it. I ordered 500 units and I used my Amex for it, which I was so grateful that I had my Amex at the time because I got that to get the points for like my clinic for when I was ordering stock. We launched it and then we sold out in 10 days. It was weird because I remember when I came up with the idea, I said to my business coach and I said to my dad, I was like, no, like I've got a good feeling about this. But obviously they probably heard me say that about everything else. But I was like, no, like I've got a good feeling about this. Like I know that this is going to do amazing.
Was that all organic selling it?
All organic.
Right, okay.
So honestly, especially now that I'm facing like issues in the business with like obviously reality of business and how hard it is with cash flow and all of that stuff, I didn't realize how great we had it at the start. Like we sold out 500 organically. We had one product. I was packing the orders. So best believe our margins were absolutely huge. Yeah. We made so much profit. And then I said to Heather, right, for the first year, let's just not take any money out of the business. Let's reinvest everything back in. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, packed all the orders myself. And then I ordered another 1,000 units. And then I think we sold out in 24 hours.
Wow.
And then I ordered 3,000 units. I can't remember how many units I ordered. It was either 3,000 or 1,000, but I think I might have ordered 3,000. And then basically we had the launch date and half them went missing. So we only had 1,500.
Just got lost.
Yeah, so you know, like when they come and see and whatever. No, I think I air freighted them in, but they got lost at customs. Right. So I said to Heather, it doesn't matter, it's fine. Like we'll just launch the 1,500. And then we ended up finding them. But because I'd seen the impact of how much when we sold out, it created so much demand. I said to Heather, let's do the 1,500. And I said, let's then leave it. And 3-4 weeks later, restock the other 1,500. Because basically they ended up showing up. We found them. And Heather was like, oh, Megan, are you sure? And I was like, trust me. I was like, it works. Like we've seen that it works. Let's keep it going. And then I think we sold out in like 6 hours or something. Like we launched it at like 6-7 p.m. We sold out by midnight, 1,500 units. Again, all organic. And at this time, we wasn't doing it on TikTok. It was purely Shopify. So we had all the emails and it was just me doing the emails as well. Like literally, I'd send like a bit of a pre-launch, like guys, it's coming, and then like sign up to the list and whatever. And then we got the other 1,500 units and then we sold out again. Honestly, that just kept on going. And I remember my initial goal was like, my goal now for 2024 was to just stay in stock. I was like, I just want to stay in stock. I think that was my goal for last year actually, because 2024 we were still selling out.
You build up a reputation on TikTok as like that lash serum that everybody wants but can't get, and that creates that demand, isn't it? Yeah, 100%. I think because obviously it was all organic and because it takes so long to obviously get the product, by the time that we got the product, people started to see results. So people were talking about it, saying how amazing it was because it was a really good product. So it kind of worked in our favor because it was like the first drop, built up the demand for us. People were talking about it. And obviously as well, whilst that was going on, Heather grew from 100k to 1 million followers in a year. Like people were trying our product and seeing how amazing it was. Heather was gaining so much popularity, growing as an influencer. So it kind of like they went together because Heather obviously was this influencer. She's a diva. She's a girl boss. She's at uni. She's got her own business. But then also like the business, we had an amazing product. It kept on selling out. So it was just a really amazing cycle of like, wow, like, and like I said, at the time I didn't realize, but it was all organic. And like, I think I was still packing the orders. I think I packed the orders for the first like 3 to 4 months. And then I decided to go into a 3PL because I was like, if we keep on growing like this, like there's no point me getting a warehouse because it's like another job in itself. You've got your staff, you've got your insurance, you've got all your things that you need to sort out. And obviously if you grow, you've got to hire people. If you don't grow, you've got to fire people. So I thought 3PL was the best option. Just grow and drop as I need. And then we ended up changing manufacturers because my manufacturer was not best. They were literally using me as a sales pitch to get customers. And obviously that's not what you want from your manufacturer. Like literally saying, she was sending like how many things I've ordered, what money I was making, asterisks out my name. So it was like obvious who it was. Someone sent it me on Instagram and I was like, oh my God. So I ended up moving manufacturers to someone in the UK because we wanted it to be made in the UK anyway.
We got it reformulated as well, because once we like found that it worked, I wanted to make sure it was the best.
Better and better, yeah.
Like, I'm such a competitive person, and I feel like I just want to be the best. I want to have the best product. So I was like, I want it to be the best on the market. So we got like some clinical trials done of the formula to show that it worked better than the other ones. I got all the competitors. I was like, test it against these. And I said, for the formulation, it needs to be better, and if it's not better, we're not bringing it out. But with that, we ended up being sold out for 3 months, or I think it was 4 months, and we actually planned a brand trip, and we had no stock. So I spent 30 grand on a brand trip, and I kept on getting told, I kept on getting told that I was going to have the stock for this brand trip. And I also applied to go to one of those beauty events that I paid 2 grand for, and I kept on getting told I would have the stock.
You wanted to take stock too? Yeah,
I kept on getting told it'd be ready for them, whatever. Anyway, went on this brand trip, 30 grand, 5 influencers, no stock, literally no return.
Really?
Yeah, no stock.
So what did you do with no stock? You just kind of sold the idea of it?
Yeah, we just sold the idea of it. We created content.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we still like created content around it and stuff, but obviously it was more just building that demand back up. And then we ended up getting stock. So the brand trip was in July, I think. We didn't get stock until I think September or October. So it was pretty crazy. It was out sort of 4 months. It wasn't great, but then we got the stock back in, and I think we sold out one more time, but this time I think we had 10,000 units, and I think that sold. It took us a month to sell out, and then we started doing paid ads in the September time and doing more on TikTok, and then we joined TikTok Shop and stuff as well. So we wasn't actually a part of TikTok until a year into it. We wasn't a part of TikTok. Everything was on Shopify.
So I talk a lot about timing in business, and obviously you kind of had this perfect storm of Heather launching the product. If you were, like, for the people listening, if you were to launch that now, do you think you'd still have this success today if you'd have launched the product today?
To be honest, no, because I think timing is your best friend. But obviously that's so lucky, but I'm such a believer of, like, you create your own luck. I think there's a book called, like, How to Get Lucky, and it's just about putting yourself out there. And it's like, all the things that I've tried in the past, like, I've tried so many. It wasn't my first product.
Well, I was going to say, it's like, how many of these times have you got excited and then it's not worked out, you know?
So it's like, I've had so many times of, like, trying before I got lucky. So yeah, it was so lucky. And obviously from the outside looking in, it's an overnight success. You know, we got 500 units, we sold out in 10 days. That's not normal.
No.
But the look came from me actively asking Heather, coming up with the idea for the lash serum, me trying all this stuff before. Do you know what I mean? That's where the look comes from. But it was extremely lucky, of course.
100%. So yeah, I'm a big believer in timing. I think timing for an idea and, you know, right place, right time is super important. And that's why I'm really not against people trialing loads of stuff and seeing what sticks. But I think what you did really well, which I think a lot of business owners fail at, is you created the demand, right? You actually created demand. You tested a product, created demand, and then ordered loads. We've had so many companies come to us that have ordered 20, 30,000 of products, and then are like, how the hell are we going to sell this? Whereas you've gone, right, let's order 500, let's test it, let's prove the concept. And then actually that's probably been the biggest reason why you've been able to scale.
I feel like that wasn't intentional, because I then went to make the mistake of ordering 30,000 units of a product I hadn't tested. I feel like that was more because I had no money. Like, I was 22 years old, or was I 22? Yeah, I was 22, 23 years old. Like, I didn't have any money. Obviously I had my clinic, but I didn't have 10 grand. I've never been a saver, because I'm always like, I just believe that I can just make more money. Like, I'm not a saver because I'm such a person. Like, even when I was, like, doing my lash tech when I was at uni, even though I didn't go to uni because I dropped out, but I was living like a uni student basically. But I would always buy courses, like anything that would help me. You know, those quick courses like How to Become Rich, and it's like £20 for an ebook. Like, best believe I would buy them all, because I was just so, like, I would buy anything because I'm like that today. And, like, I feel like now it becomes a bit more of a risk, because those price tags are no longer £1,000. They're more like, I mean, they're no longer £20. They're more like £1,000 or 10 grand. Those, like, I realized it at the time, but then I think I got too carried away with how successful we'd been that I thought we was invincible. You know, just typical founder story where you just feel like, yes, I'm the best. I can do anything. Like,
you'll launch anything and it'll be a success. But I think you need to learn those lessons along the way, and it's you will not make that mistake again, I'm sure.
No.
I just quickly on the warehouse. So you or on the manufacturer, you moved manufacturers. Obviously, that took 4 months of no product. What regrets do you have there, if any, or is that been a positive in the long run?
Obviously, it wasn't ideal having our products all out for 4 months, but I feel like I took so much learning from that period, because working with the manufacturer, like, I made a lot of mistakes. Like, I paid 100% of the money up front for starters, which was a hell of a lot of money. I paid 100% of the cost up front. And then I remember I told my dad, because I hadn't had the product, my dad was like, Megan, he was like, you're an idiot. He was like, why would you give someone you don't even know? And we ended up having to go to the warehouse, because my dad was like, you don't even know if these people are real. Because basically I met this woman at an event, and she, like, obviously told me about herself and stuff. And I was like, my guardian angel. I was like, she's come to save me. I was like, this is a sign, the universe. I told my dad, and I was like, Megan, he was like, you're such an idiot. For all you know, she could be a scammer. And I was like, no, she's not, I swear. So he literally drove up with me to like do a surprise visit on the factory to make sure it was legit, because he just didn't believe it. He was like, Megan, no. But I think with not having it in stock for 4 months, it taught me so much just about the manufacturing process and about relationships with manufacturers and just about what a normal standard should look like with payment terms, with like lead times. It taught me so much. So I think it was obviously not great at the time, but it was probably a bit nice to have some breathing space as well. I can't lie, because I was still running my clinic, like working there like 6-7 hours a day.
And you talk a lot, I mean, you've mentioned it a few times about mentors, business coaches, that sort of things. Is that something that you kind of really rely on? Is that something that you heavily invest in? Yeah.
If you invest your money into yourself, like I believe business coaches, they help you get there quicker because you're paying for experience. So you're cutting corners. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you pay for someone like that, you're just getting someone to guide you. I like it for accountability as well. Like I've got ADHD and I feel like I need sometimes someone to like keep me accountable because I find it really difficult. But it's great for accountability. It's great just to have someone to talk to who understands, especially when like you're a young founder. And I feel like especially with a female, there's not loads of female founders compared to like male founders. So I think it can be quite lonely. So I used to think like having a business coach, I had him like 1 hour bi-weekly, and he was so good. Like he taught me so much stuff about like funnels, emails, you know, just like general business stuff, which you're not going to know that unless you invest in it, whether you listen to podcasts, you read books. Do you know what I mean? So I think having a business coach is like the wisest investment that you can ever make.
So yeah, you'd recommend it to people?
100%, yeah. I think it's just the best. It's just so good.
I've got just a question on kind of the paid media side of things. You touched on it, how you were built social first, you went organic. Then obviously speaking to consultants, did you feel like you needed a consultant to help you guide into the step into paid acquisition, or did you just kind of go for it?
So I started off the paid ads myself originally, but I actually did it with this guy. So I had my business coach and he was part of this group, and I used a different business coach within that group because he was more based on e-commerce. I told him everything, whatever. And then I ended up not working with him anymore because he used to like just always move it forward and be like, oh, I'm just going for breakfast in Thailand. Can you do in half an hour? And at the time I was doing 8 till 1 in my flat working on Buy Babes, and I was going to the clinic for 1 and working till like 7 p.m. doing my aesthetics. I was like, I don't have half an hour for you to waste. And he kept on doing it, and I was like, you're being so disrespectful of my time. I stopped working with him that day. He went on Company's House and he registered the exact same company as mine. He copied my whole business model, the same logo, the same font, the same product, all the copy on my website, exact same. And I only saw it because a couple months later I saw an ad and I went to click on it and I was like, like it won't let me click on it because obviously it was a competitor. So I was like, interested to see who it is, not seen that before. And I got the lady who did my lymphatic drainage, I was like, can you just click on this profile? And it clicked on it and I was like, So I went on Company's House and it was my old business coach.
Wow.
So he'd obviously seen my success that I'd had and he just thought that he could do it. So he paired up with an influencer and tried to do it. But unfortunately, you can have the same recipe but can't make the same sauce, you know?
100%.
So yeah, I can't remember what the question was, but that was just a fun little side story.
That's crazy. I've
never
heard of anything like that.
I never said anything to him. So I just thought, you know what, like number 1, you're not worth my energy. Number 2, like he's not gonna stop just because I tell him, like, I know that you've done this. Like it is what it is. That's just business, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? But they're the lessons that you learn along the way. Like when you do start doing well for yourself, like people don't have best intentions and people will stab you in the back. Like I was paying him $1,000 a month for him to show up half an hour late and then steal my business idea.
You were coaching him in a way, but
exactly. Right? Yeah. I think
no, literally, I was like, it's embarrassing for you. Like you're a business coach and you're stealing my idea.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Crazy.
I'm interested in the influencer side of things. I think a lot of influencers start businesses. A lot of people join with influencers to start businesses, and obviously you just said your business coach tried to do that. Do you think that was like an integral part of the success of what you're doing? Do you think that you could have still created the demand without it?
I know myself, like I 100% could have got the business going without an influencer because I'm determined, but it would have taken a hell of a lot longer. Heather has been amazing to the business, and definitely this business, I couldn't have done it without her 100%. Like obviously I feel like I just believe in myself, and I know that whether Heather was there or not, I would have still made something of myself one day because that's always been my dream and I've always wanted that, and I've got the mindset for it and the determination. But definitely for the lash serum, for Buy Babes, Heather 100% helped. I think especially, like I said, it was just timing. Like I think if she was already an established influencer and then I created a brand with her, I don't know if it would have been successful because obviously influencers rise, don't they? And I got Heather when she had 100k. She literally scaled so fast, which then created the demand, which then created the sellout. So it all was just like
the perfect storm of it.
It was a perfect storm, and like without Heather, it would not have it would not be where it is today. No way.
And I think that we see it all the time, that failure of the influencer kind of partnership. Why do you think that other influencers fail? What do you think causes that when they launch a product?
I think because business is so much more than just like sales and marketing. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously it is sales and marketing, but you've got all the financial side. Like, a business is so much. It's like operations, for example. Like, some influencers, say if they got their own warehouse and then the overheads went sky high and they didn't know what it was. Like, a business isn't just about who's selling it. Like, obviously that makes so much success, but in my opinion, I think business comes a lot down to finance, like 100%. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really know. Like, even like I speak to loads of founders, and this used to be me as well before everything started going wrong, but I didn't even have a clue what my P&L was until like 16 months ago. Like, I had no idea what my P&L was because I just saw the cash coming in and it was all good. But that's obviously not good. Like, when you're trying to scale a business, especially like for me, I want to scale this business to like 100 million plus. Like, I really want it to be that big, and I believe it can be, but you can't get it to be that big without knowing your numbers, because numbers is what drives stuff. I remember at the start, people used to ask me like, oh, what's your budget for ads? What's your budget for campaign? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, whatever it takes, like, just do what it takes. Like, I want my campaign to look like this, or how much it costs. But that's because we were so lucky. We had so much cash because everything sold so organically. Whereas obviously now, absolutely different story. Someone asked me budget, I'm like, £10, babe. Like, do what you can with that, please. Free, as cheap as you can get it.
Because now you've got obviously the cost of acquisition of the customer, where you didn't have that before. And for most ecom brands, that is the biggest expense. Even more expensive than products most of the time.
No, 100%.
We study it quite a lot, that the influencer, and because normally you find like a business owner and influencer, they'll come together to launch something, or there's companies that launch influencer products. Most of the time they do not work. And I think it's, what you're saying is right. It's the fact that you forget about all the other stuff behind it. And that's why, clearly you've got the knack of that, and you're able to, although you've been learning on the job, you've got there, because otherwise.
And I think as well, like, a lot of it's mindset. Like, honestly, I feel like, especially the past 12 months, really, they've been so hard. And my dad's got a business. My dad's a very successful business person. So I've been so grateful in my journey that I've had him to guide me. Like, when I've had issues and when I've needed help, like for example with the payment terms with the factory, like he just knows the standard of how it should be. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't hold my hand at all. Like, my dad has no idea about e-commerce or marketing, because he's a very old school business guy that does lorries and logistics for a business, so he's not in that world. But he's been great with the financial side of stuff, overheads and just margins, and just how to keep a business running. And especially with mindset, like, my dad is such a positive person, and like, he's so like, you can do anything, like, don't worry, like, I made that mistake that I made last year, he's like, but you're going to make a bigger one next year, Megan. He's like, but it's going to be fine, like, you've got this, like, keep going. Another reason that businesses crack is because people give up because they don't see another way. And it's like, sometimes you have to take yourself away and look at it from a bird's eye perspective and take the emotion away from it to see clearly like what you need to do. Because I always say, like, with what's been happening, like, even if I have to take everything really like back to scratch, back to basics, like, I will do that, because sometimes it's just about staying in the game, it's not about scaling all the time. Like, if you've got to strip back and have 2 years of just surviving, like, that's okay, because you're still in it. And I'd rather survive in a game that I've already started than start something from scratch. Do you know what I mean?
I agree, absolutely agree. And a lot of brands are going through that right now. I'll tell you what, Andromeda at the start of the year caused on Meta havoc with so many brands that had these incredible scaling plans and have actually just go, you know what, 2026 survive. I want to stay where I can. I want to learn what Andromeda actually means, because for most brands, Meta is their place 100% their new customers. So
I think that's why it's hard, because obviously Meta has massive algorithm changes. AI is changing so quickly. I feel like every week there's a new AI update. Like, I used to set aside every Wednesday to learn AI, but then I just think it's moving too quick.
You've got to do it
by the
all
time I learn it, there's something new that's come out that's even better, and that's a waste of my time doing it that way, because it's developed. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, so I've stopped doing that now, because I'm just like, you know what, like, I'm still using AI, but it's like not to, I don't know, put so much time into it, because it is changing so fast. It's changing.
Well, we've got someone that literally full time, all they're doing in our agency is all they're doing is AI operations, creative, just so we can constantly, because like you said,
it's a full-time job. We've had
I promise you it is. What he would tell me last week, he'll come to me today and be like, oh mate, it's all changed. And I'm like, oh my God.
Claude with Fable 5, like, they brought that out for a couple of days, it was great, and then they took it down. And then my boyfriend's got a business, he was building a website on there, and then all of a sudden it's been taken down, and he's like, sake, like, my website that built. Do you know what I mean?
How are you using it then? Is it workflow? Are you using any AI creative?
So I have been using it to build landing pages. A really good campaign that's worked for us is advertorials. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos, like, Carl Weiss. I don't know. So he's really big. He's really good. He's really big for landing pages and like the funnel and how to get cold traffic from advertorials and listicles rather than just through bottom of funnel, like Facebook ads, really, like teaching people. And I had really good success with doing that. So I've used Claude to try and improve my landing pages through obviously just getting the code and then putting it into the back end of my Shopify. I use Claude for recording meetings and doing summaries and giving action steps for my team as well. So I've set something like that up. I've also recently got Claude to every single day, but I need to change it to every week. They scan the internet of like trends in marketing, like any sounds, anything relevant to the beauty industry, so we can stay on top of marketing. I use Claude a lot for research and a lot for mental health therapy, you know, for therapy, because I feel like you're never wrong according to AI. It'll always tell you you're right. It's like, yes, you're doing amazing, Stephen. I needed to hear that today.
I was out for breakfast with a guy, with Edward Upton from Little Data last week. He plugs he's got diabetes, this chap, not Edward, but someone else, plugs his blood sugar monitor into Claude, and that will then send updates as to what type of recipes you should be eating. And
It's so smart.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Not to get it wrong though, do you?
No. Yeah, cheeky update.
What I've done as well, because I'm trying to reduce like my costs at the minute, so I've got rid of triple whale, because personally I don't believe that that's great. I know you guys might use it a little bit, but I don't believe. I think attribution on the whole is just a big mess, and like it just depends on the platform you're looking at. It's all going to be, do you know what I mean? Like it's all.
We can just touch on that. I think that I like a lot of what you're saying is right, and I think that. Like if you're with triple whale, phosphor, they're so expensive, right? And I think you've got to think of what's your source of truth. Yeah. Is that on platform? Whatever that is, stick to the source of truth.
That's the thing. And because it was costing me £500 a month, and my ad guy, I had 2 different ad guys and now I've got one, but my ad guy who's now doesn't love it. So I was like, I'm going to get rid of it. So what I've done instead, because I love triple whale for the profitability, you know, every day how it tell you how much profit you're making, and then I'd know how much I need to cover my overheads and my run rate. So what I've used Claude for now, well, Lovable, my dad actually built it for me, bless him. A platform that's got, my mum will enter all my data in from each platform, so my ads. It's a bit of a manual way of doing it, but she enters in like, because again, it depends when you look at the data. On Shopify, if you look at it at the end of the day, it says one thing. If you look at it in 2 weeks, it says another thing. Like, it's so annoying. So just trying to keep it all the same is what matters, I guess. It's like a science experiment, isn't it? Like, as long as you're doing everything the exact same, it's fine. So she puts in all my data, and then this spreadsheet now will update, and it tells me my MER, it tells me like my profitability each day, like if I've lost money that day depending on ad spend, and it tells me how profitable I am against my overheads and stuff like that. So it's just like a custom dashboard, and I love custom stuff, me. I made custom dashboards for my team, and I put all the branding on it and everything. I made one for like product, I made one for my customer service manager, and it was just really nice, but that was a bit of a waste of time because now we're back on Notion. But it was fun whilst it lasted. It's just about what works best for you, and I think it has to work for the founder, because the founder, like for me anyway, I'm such a type B ADHD mess. Like I'm an organized person. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I feel like I need to do what works best for me, and everyone needs to work around that, because I just think I can't adapt that easily to other people's systems because I'm just so type B. There's
softwares out there whether you want to build it yourself on Livable or whatever, but if you're not over your numbers, like, you know, it's just there is just no point, because you'll end up in a mess. I want to just jump into the community side of things, because I guess us as Prospa, we're working with so many beauty businesses now that are community-led or have started with a community. What's your thinking behind that, and what is your recommendation to founders now that have thought of a product that want to build a community? What would you suggest they do? Because I'm a massive advocate for building a community first, as we discussed, and then launching product from there.
I agree. I think it's really good, because I think building in public is such a thing these days of like founders, and I think people buy from people. Like that's why with my clinic I found it so much easier, because I think I'm quite a personable person. Like when I've got someone in front of me, and I don't really try and, when I had my clinic, I never tried to sell to someone. I'd just be honest with them. Like I'd have people come to me and be like, oh, I want this, and they want to spend like $1,000. I'm like, babe, let's just chill. Let's just start with your lips. And then they'd mess me up to be like, oh my God, like I can't believe like you could have got $1,000 off me, but you only took £200. And I was just being honest. But like obviously that works in my favor, because you build trust, and then the retention
Customer for
is
life,
exactly. So I've had customers from when I was injecting. I've got a new injector now that still comes to me for like 6 years because of that. Community, again, like building in public is a bit of a way of doing that, because you're building that connection. And I know when we first started, especially when we was bringing out all the products, I used to send out so many surveys to our customers and emails to get like our lip liner range, for example, was created by me asking all of our customers, like, what shades do you wear at the minute from other brands? What do you look for in a lip liner? Like what kind of is your colours, whatever. So I use a lot of our community to build those products, and it's so nice because they feel like they've been a part of it, because they have really. Like if you've got a community, it's really good to make them involved, and you're just creating like really loyal fans, which is so important, because like a really good customer shouts about your product for you. So it's also like it helps in the long term, because they will shout about your product for you and recommend you, and that also gets you sales. So I think it's really important, and that's why we do so much investment in our community, especially last year when we had, well, I thought I had the budget. We did so many community events. events because it's just so important. And it's so nice as well to see people who have been buying from us for day one, who we like interact with online. Because obviously we're just sat behind laptops all day, but we've got 160,000 followers on TikTok. We do lives and we've got like thousands of people on there. And it's crazy to see our customers in real life who are like, oh my God, like your lash Heum is really growing my lashes. I love it. Like it's made me feel so much more confident. I think it's such a nice feeling for us as well. But then I think they like it because they feel like the brand actually cares about them. So I know there's been a big shift of like, obviously influencers are great because influencers get you the brand awareness. Influencers are the authority, and influencers a lot of time are influencers because people want to be like them. So that helps sell the product. But I think community like and your customers get annoyed because they're like, well, I'm the one buying the product. Like, why are we not getting like the treatment for it? And we're actually going to Ariana Grande as well. We've got a box for our customers. So we've just selected our customers for that.
Have done the same thing.
No, they have, we did take the info from them, to be fair.
You did, okay.
Yeah, we did. We told them about it. It was like, do you mind if we do that? Because it was just such a good idea. And we were like, you know what? Yeah, like that's such a good idea.
I think don't like forget to invest in your community, even when the budget's tight. I think that's what people, they'll turn that part off first.
Yeah.
We see it time and time again. Leave the ads on, don't invest in the community. And I did a talk last week, and actually we were talking about, you've just kind of set me up perfectly for this. That I think that in 2027, I think like customer UGC is going to be the biggest thing. And we've got a brand, Coco Pup. They're a dogwear brand. You might have
I'm not going to lie, dog brands are just flying. Dog brands do so well. I feel like as well, it's not really a niche. It's like food. Everyone likes it. So it's so hard to like not sell it.
Can't complain as well. That's
exactly.
But we're interviewing Bella and Duke in a couple of weeks.
But
I always see that, especially on Amazon, dog brands are just like that. I might start a dog brand next.
But the thing is, there's like they've got two actually, and one's a phone case brand, Coco Lane, and what they do.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they've got someone that sits full time, and all they do is they look at their tag post. So then we can whitelist the ads off the people that have tagged them in post, because obviously you've got dog mums, dog dads, you've got people with their phone cases and outfits.
Do most people accept that? Because
dog side,
they're very receptive to it because it's coming from the brand. It's very much
because I might try that because I've done that a few times and I have used our customers, because some of our customers as well, I'm like, wow, that's amazing content. So I have tried that sometimes. I've not had success with all of them because a lot of people want paid as well. What
we found was if you have built a real strong community like you have, they are more than happy to help you.
I think that's the difference between like sometimes that's a UGC creator that charges like £700 per post, they want paying, but I think customers who are just like your average customer, they just love your brand, they are more than happy to be featured on your page because they just want to be involved. Do you know what I mean? And
then you don't need the budget, like you said. We're because we run UGC for a lot of brands, and it's getting more and more and more expensive. It's ridiculous. It's getting silly.
Some of these UGC creators, honestly, they gave me the rates. I'm like, are you actually being serious?
The bubble has to burst. I'm telling you.
No, it will do next year though.
The consumer side will.
And I feel like for me, it's quite frustrating because I'm like, I used to graft my ass off for bloody like £10 an hour, like doing lashes all day, doing them for nothing. These days, people just decide to become a UGC and they start charging £1,000 for a post. And I'm just like, that's going to burst one day because you're not willing to put the work in. And I think so much of this generation, they don't know what hard work looks like. They're not willing to put in the work. Obviously not everybody, but they're not willing to put in the work to get the rewards. Like they just want the rewards straight away, and it's like life doesn't work like that.
But I think that so for 2027, I think customer UGC, I think if I was a brand now, I'd honestly, if I was the founder like you, I would start, or if you've got something to do it, just messaging customers, and especially
me and
your
Heather
top
actually
customers.
had that conversation yesterday as well.
Cool. Well, that probably leads us on nicely to Heather. So me and Jack, we're obviously run Prospa together. We're very different people, very, very different, and people that know us know we're very different. We complement each other quite well in certain aspects. What's it been like with Heather? I think there can be the good, the bad, the ugly.
To be honest, I don't feel like there's ever been like a lot of bad or ugly with me and Heather. I think we're very, very similar people in a sense of like mindset, and we're both very like strong and independent. I don't want to be cringe and say strong, independent women, but I feel like we are. And that's another reason why I think Heather, because obviously I would have my clinic Boss Babes, and originally this was by Boss Babes, but Hugo Boss said we wasn't allowed to be called Boss, so I had to rebrand. That was a bit of a time as well. But because my core values for my brand have always been like female empowerment, confidence, like believing yourself, mindset, and Heather's personal brand fit with that so much. So I feel like in terms of like influencer company fit, she was perfect because her personal brand was for being this girl boss, diva, confident, inspiring woman, and that's always been the brand values that I want for business. We've worked really well in that way, and I think we bring different things to the table. Like I'm really good at numbers, whereas Heather's very good with the tone of voice, which I'm not very good at. I'm too much of a business person to think like a consumer. Like I'm not a normal consumer. I don't sit at home and scroll on TikTok and buy products and stuff. I'm literally like at the gym or watching podcasts or learning some AI thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not a typical consumer. And I think Heather's so close to the consumer. So she brings a lot of that in terms of like, she tries a lot more products than me as well, because obviously she gets sent so much PR. So it's great for product testing because she's tried a lot. She knows what goes viral. She knows about the trends because she's in that world. So Heather's really good for being close to the customer, and that's her skill set. And I think my skill set is more the business side and trying to operate things and like the finance side.
We get a lot of questions, and obviously naturally it's like, what is creative looking like now you're scaling? From a creative side on Meta, what are you guys doing? Is it, is an agency running it? Are you guys building all the creative in-house? How are you kind of operating?
We've had to strip everything back this year because we ordered loads of stock that just hasn't sold how we wanted it to go. So we had a lot of cash flow issues. And then we overspent on Meta ads. We ended up spending in ads in general 30 grand that didn't give us any more revenue than the month before, but we spent 30 grand extra. So that was a huge issue. So we ended up scaling everything right back to find out which platform was actually driving the most sales. And we found out that TikTok was like the healthiest and most profitable platform. But since TikTok has changed the algorithm, so I feel like it's not like that anymore. But in terms of the creative, I thought that, right, we need to get onto Meta. We need to crack it, because obviously I'd rather people come to our website than TikTok. And I've always been a very strong believer of that. Like, I never want TikTok to hold the whole business. So I hired a creative agency, and before then I was just doing the ads. I make the ads, I find them and whatever, put them together, do the graphics. The agency ads, they were not performing at all, but when I look back, I think it's because they were too polished. And I think these days people crave authenticity. Raw, yeah. And I think because the ads, they were really good quality, don't get me wrong, they were so good, but they just didn't work. And I just think the ones that I was making on Canva and like the ones that I was getting from TikTok are like more authentic, raw stuff. It was just working so much better. And I do think that it's because of how polished it looked. Yeah.
And you guys didn't start like that, did you? You started organically, and it's how people
and raw like take the content, because you've said that now, and if Jonah's listening, he'll be like singing, because the biggest fight we have with brands is Meta is not where you build your brand, it's where you acquire new customers. People like find you first. You need social first content, not polished, not brand first. You can use organic email, landing pages to do all of that. Please don't run it on Meta. And honestly, it's great you've said that, because I think that's the biggest mistake brands are making right now.
I do think for like more top of funnel, polished content tends to work stronger at the top of funnel to get you into the funnel. So for example, we've got a few like professional shot, like videographer videos that are really high quality. That's like Heather talking about why we started the brand, like founder story. Like we found that our founder story content at top of funnel in really good quality has worked really well. But apart from that, I don't think anything really works that great at top of funnel.
Yeah, no, I agree. You've got to have some level of some high production stuff, but it's got to be mixed with social first content. So yeah, I'm glad you've said that, because challenge we're having every single day at the moment.
It's a very hard challenge.
Just moving on to the actual fundamentals of like how you're selling products. I think two things we wanted to dive into. One is subscriptions and the other is bundles. So when did you launch your subscription side of the business, and how has that been going for you in reality?
I'm pretty sure we launched the subscriptions of the business fair early on, because I'm just such a person of like, don't fix what's not broken. And like, if your competitor is doing it,
you should do it too,
You should do it. So obviously I saw that all my competitors from research were doing subscriptions. So I'm pretty sure from like, I don't know, like the second or whatever drop, but we started subscription very early. I had subscription on sales subscriptions to begin with, and it wasn't actually doing that great. We were getting quite a lot of like people signing up, but then also loads of people dropping off, especially after they've done the first one. And that's still something that I've not really been focusing on, to be honest. I feel like it does need to be an absolute focus of my mind for at least 3 months to be able to get going. But what I spent a bit of time on last year, when I started having cash flow issues, I realized that subscription and LTV was the game. That's how like I need that. Got a new subscription. I started using Skio. I added free gifts to the second, third and first order, and I changed the widget on the website to show people the free gifts. And I saw an instant change. It was such a win. So I used to get between like maybe 1 and 3 subscribers a day. And when I did that change, we were getting like 30 subscribers a day just from changing the widget on the website. Saw huge success with that.
Or was that just you pushing on the website, or were you pushing like paid creative?
No, that was
talking
just
about subscription.
That was nothing changed on the creative. That
really
was literally just a change on the website from being basic to showing these free gifts. Obviously, I changed that. Great. So I'm very ADHD, like I said. I'll go do one thing, right? Okay, move on to the next. Get bored. Don't want to finish it. So I did that, but then I didn't continue in the process. I built out email flows, and we've got like cancellation flows, whatever. I actually used Zamo for a while as well to try and help with like people not cancelling, but I cancelled that because again, overheads, trying to cut and go back to basics. The retention still isn't great. So that's still a hurdle that I need need to go and fix, but it was more like, okay, that's working for now. Let me sort out the other side of the business first. And then like, that's going to be a priority once I've got everything back up and running, you know, because I do believe that subscription businesses are super strong. Like, obviously, I know Space Goods as an example. That's like 90% subscription.
We
and I know that
they are like, and it's the biggest cash print if you get it right.
And it's like the enterprise value as well. Especially in America, you can sell it for like times 15.
Your type of brand is so perfect for subscriptions, like you said. And I think people do it half asked, right, all of the time. And if you're not going to really, because for some brands that we work with, that position, that subscription manager is a full-time role, right? Because you need to look at the data.
100%.
Where are people dropping off? Why are they dropping off? What can we do to stop it? And it's test. And there is no right or wrong answer, because it could be you could give away the world and somebody still drops off.
Well, that's what I found, because I thought that giving away the free gifts, obviously it's increased the uptake rate from like 1% to 12% of people who are like now subscribing, but then it's not increased. I thought having these gifts there, like you're getting £57 worth of free gifts for a $29.99 product, you'd assume that would make them stay. And it's all in the email flow, like, get excited about this, it's coming, but it's just not working. Like, people are still unsubscribing. That's something that I have to go and fix. But like you said, it is a full-time job. And I think when you're such a small business, where do you put your time that's going to have the biggest return on investment? And I think right now for me, it's just sorting out the back end and getting it stable again so that we can then focus on stuff like that.
Are you still on Skio, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though it's so expensive.
It is, well, because you mentioned Seal. A lot of our brands use Seal because it's like £45 a month, whatever. It's so cheap. And then you move to Skio, recharge.
Brilliant. It's like £1,000.
So expensive.
Honestly.
But it is, I promise you, in the long run, if you get it right, then you're like, do I just move back to Seal because I'm not really doing a lot with it? But
well, that's kind of the issue that I've been facing. At the minute, I'm on operation back to basics just to try and fix everything, because obviously I said about staying in the game, like, rather than scaling. And it is like kind of looking at everything and thinking, right, what do I actually need? Because you've got all these big shiny tools, but if you're not actually utilizing them, it needs to go, because it needs time to utilize them to get your money's worth. Like with Zamo, for example, Zamo's not even expensive. It's like £150 per one that you use. I was like, it's going to have to go, because I'm not putting enough time into it to actually, for it to be worth it. It's just another thing. And I think sometimes as well, founders, and this is what I did, you make your business way too complicated. And sometimes you just need to think, what was working when it was working? Like sometimes you add on all these fancy things, think it's going to help you. And the biggest lesson I've learned recently is just strip everything back and just focus on one thing at a time. Get one thing working really well. Like, and if you're going to do a new subscription platform or whatever, put the time into learning it and getting it running and fixing it, and then go into a different side of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And I preach that, and I need to practice it as well. So that's going to be my accountability to practice it.
And like we honestly, a huge clothing brand signed with us recently, and they were saying the same thing. They are just winging everything right now. And I said to them, the first conversation I had with them is, look where you are now. They're doing millions and millions, right? Is like what was working before, and they were finding it really hard to acquire new customers, and they just lost the origin story of what the brand was, who they were, what was working well in the past, and they've just gone so the other way of being, right, we're in Selfridges, Harrods, we need to be that side. And it's like, guys, no, that's not your customer. Like, get back to the basics, what's working well. And I think what we're kind of learning from this is, the founders out there, is don't be afraid to strip everything back, start again. Because
I think stripping everything back is actually your best friend, because when everything's going well, you don't really look at stuff the same. It's like what I said before with budgeting. Like when everything was doing well, I didn't have a budget for a campaign. I just wanted what I wanted. But then when things start to go bad and things start to get tight, you look at everything completely different. But you need to keep that mindset as you grow, because that's how you're going to scale, is by keeping that mindset, keeping tight and everything, and not just having shiny object syndrome and just, do you know what I mean? Just stick to what works until it doesn't. That's why with my car, for example, I've done that again, because it's like, it worked last time. Let's just do it again. Do you know what I mean?
I'm super interested in the unit economics of business, of e-com, and it's like, anyone that tells you I could talk to you all day about it, I'm obsessed. MER, whatever you're kind of going after. What are those important ones to you now that you look at on a daily basis that founders should be?
I think MER. I think, like I said before about attribution, like I got into a bit of a rabbit hole last year with attribution, and it was just really stressing me out, because obviously platform says this, Triple Whale says this, platform says this, like P&L says this. So now everything I do is off my MER. So like I said, I've got that spreadsheet that my mum fills out, and I don't look at Triple Whale. I don't really look at platform. Like we do look at platform, but what we do is we look on the spreadsheet every single day. It calculates the MER, like what have we spent versus what are we getting in return. And I look at my MER, and that's what I look at, because I think that is the most important thing ever.
You're ahead of so many brands, by the way. Like, so many people are still not doing this, right? I promise
it's important though, because as well, it all comes down to your P&L, right? And your P&L, like your MER is basically a percentage of your sales, isn't it? So like, for example, a 3 to 4 is really healthy, isn't it, really, for MER, obviously depending on the brand. And obviously when you look at your P&L, like industry average is 30% of your net revenue should be on marketing. So that makes sense to also look at that with your MER, because that's your P&L. So if you're not looking at your MER, then how are you going to know at the end of the month whether you're making profit if you're just going off attribution?
Attribution is RAS. The only thing
because MER is basically your percentage of your net revenue. Do you know what I mean?
Like, the only thing that we found that founders can get into a bit of a hole with MER, and why you've got to be slightly careful, is because obviously MER doesn't I guess differentiate between a new and existing customer.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where founders can get wrong, because they suddenly MER is looking great, but actually 80% of what's making up MER is existing, and then you're like, God, actually we're not growing here. So that's why that MER acquisition MER is actually quite a good one also to have.
Yeah. So another thing as well. So we run our ad account quite differently to how we probably should run it. So obviously these days, it's very much, everyone's like AI, you've got your AB campaign, is that it?
ABS.
Yeah.
ABA.
Yeah, so obviously you've got that one, then you've got your testing your CBO, whatever, and you let Facebook do all the groundwork. So we actually was doing that, but it just didn't work. Like, it wasn't working. Like, we was honestly, like, we were getting a really bad return. So what we did instead, we've actually gone for the old school way, which is really, really, like, different.
What are you going to tell me? I'm ready for this.
No, so we actually have
serious top of funnel.
We actually do. Really? We have top, middle, bottom, and we split our budget based on that. So we know that most of our budget is going to like new customers, but we have tried it that way. I tried it that way from like September until March, and honestly, like, just wasn't working at all. Like, it really wasn't.
Are you looking at personas on Meta, on Andromeda? Are you looking through Motion, which is what we use, right? Which again is super expensive, so you might not have that.
Can't afford that. Please
like
don't. Please don't do shiny objects in front of my face, because I will buy them.
Oh wait, but
I'll help you scale.
And then I'll be coming to you with the debt.
But the thing is, the reason why people aren't finding that structure works, and they have to move back to like this old 2024 structure probably, is because they're not understanding how creative meets persona diversification. Are you doing anything around that, looking at your personas and then how my creative, hits those personas?
We probably haven't dived into it enough. Like, I have done a big spreadsheet where, Sabri Sabai, is that what it's called? Yeah. So I watched loads of his videos, and based off that, I basically did a whole persona spreadsheet of like my 3 personas of customers. I used everything from Reddit for like the pain points for the solutions, what they're looking for. And then based off that, I started creating the ads, the landing pages, and including that in it. So I have done a bit of work into it, but again, I feel like being a founder, it's hard to do everything, isn't it? So it's kind of like, I have dabbed into it, but I've not done it probably to the full extent that I should. I did find though, because we also have like a post-purchase survey as well. And we also do quite a lot of surveys, and we do find that they buy from results, and they also have lash extensions. Yeah. And to be fair, I used to be a lash tech, so I need to lean into that more of like, I'm an like authoritative figure, I guess, in that world, because I used to wear lash extensions. I used to be a lash tech. But yeah, we do have like 3 specific personas of like customer. And I actually have used Claude before. There was something called Parker AI. So
you sending me this actually?
I did send it to you.
Yeah.
Do you not like it?
Well, it should basically. It's like they've taken other LLMs and put a skin on it.
So okay.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the AI tools do that though. Like I downloaded one the other day for like an ad flow where you put your brief in, you put your pictures in, and then I saw it was generating the pictures from Gemini and ChatGPT. I was like, bro, I could have just done this myself. It was advertised like, AI workflow. I was like, I could have literally just put that myself.
I just so many of those right now.
But yeah, so I found it interesting, and again, I haven't done loads of this because I feel like I'll dive into it, then something happens and I have to put my attention somewhere else. I used to put it into Parker AI, and it used to analyze my ad account, but now Claude can do that as well, because I had my personas in there as well. It was telling me like, all my new customers are coming from this persona is working, so you need to lean more into this persona, and that's kind of what it's telling me. But I haven't done anything with that information,
so which
is really bad of me.
You and the team, what springs to mind is the hair serum menopause side of things.
I know, and there's so many, like, what we realize, and you could take any brand we work with, is there's so many more personas than you think.
So many.
And you end up, and what brands do, like you've just said, is like they'll stick to 1 or 2. That soon becomes exhausted, right? And it's like, how do you make creative that Meta can read, that then the persona can then be involved in? And like you said, you are going to fail in the structure you originally said if you're not doing persona testing now in 2026. So it makes sense why you've had to move back to the the old funnel structure. But But with you, as you know, with Andromeda, it will be an uphill battle for you if you can't. And I know Motion's expensive, but maybe we're gonna have to plug you into our Motion so you can have a look at it, because we've got an agency account, so it's like.
I know. Well, that is the thing, isn't it? It's like I said again, it comes back to being a small business, because you've got to do so much of this yourself, and like.
But then you know it better than anybody else, right?
You do, but it's also like, especially my ADHD brain, what do I focus on? What's going to bring the biggest ROI for my time right now? And that's what I find so hard, because one minute I'm like, oh my God, it's this, let's do this. And then it's like, nope, that's not done anything. And it is like, I had a call just before and she said, marketing is experimenting. And I was like, that's such a nice quote that I'm going to tell myself, because that's all it is. Just like you keep on experimenting with like different creatives, different angles until one works, and then you fly in. Do you know what I mean?
No one's got the right answer.
And you can't stop experimenting, can you? With it?
No.
But I want to talk just briefly about the future for Buy Babes. So we've spoken, it was a core theme when I first reached back out to you, staying in the game, working quite hard on the finances, knowing the numbers. What's looking like the roadmap for the next 12 months? Products, anything exciting you can kind of reveal to us and the listeners?
We do have a lot of exciting products that we're developing at the minute, but whether we're going to be able to bring them out or not is a different story, because I just don't want to get into a pickle of what happened last year. And the difficulty for us is because we are trying to be innovative, we're not trying to bring off the shelf products. The MOQs are so high that we can't bring out products unless we're going to place a 10,000 MOQ order, which obviously is a very big thing for testing a new product, right? And need to be so profitable and know my numbers and know that we're making profit every single month, and a lot of it, before I'm willing then to take that risk, because I've got myself into a pickle already. If I then make the same mistake again, I'm an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like, a mistake one time, it's not a mistake, it's a lesson. But then if you make it again, I feel like you're an idiot. I feel like I can't make that same mistake again. So a lot of new products, very innovative, very amazing, and I'm really excited about them. But whether they come next year or not, I'm still hopeful that they will, because I've done so much work the past 6 to 12 months to like get everything back going, and we're so close. I can, we can just see it. Like I'm in touching distance from it now. But yeah, new products, and to be honest, just understanding the business more than ever, just like really stripping everything back, understanding like the core of like what the business actually needs. Because I remember last year, one of my goals was to have 10 people working on the team in-house. It's crazy the goals you have as like an early founder who has no idea about how business works compared to the goals that I have now. For example, like having 10 people in-house is my idea of hell, because I've got to manage them all. I'm not a good manager. I like to do my own thing. I like to crack on with my own work, like setting people, and I am getting better at it, but it is something that I've had to learn a lot. But I hate managing people, and I know that about myself. So that's something that I don't want to be involved in as much. Do you know what I mean? And just hiring for the sake of hiring, like,
just getting 10 people arbitrarily, like,
no, literally. And that was my mindset, like, oh, I want to bring all this in-house, but actually no, it's like, what does a business actually need? Like, what can the business survive on, and run it as lean as possible? Because all that needs to happen is the algorithm changes, a competitor comes in, and then all of a sudden you're not making any money. So if you're not running your business lean, like I wasn't, that's exactly what's happened for us, and then it's like, oh God, like we're losing money now. My main goal is getting it to as lean as it can possibly be. And I'm such a believer of like signs and stuff, and I believe that if we're gonna not make money, it's because I've still not done what's needed to be done. And obviously that's math, like obviously I've still not done it, but I believe that, I always believe that life will reward me when I'm on the right path. And I think that until I'm on the right path, I'm not going to be able to see the rewards.
You're quite clearly relentless in the pursuit of this as well, which is cool. I listened to you on the other podcast that you'd been on, or another one that you've been on, and you were talking about how you just start doing, don't plan, and go for that, which is really refreshing to see. This is an interesting question that we've not yet asked on this podcast, but what is a question that nobody has ever asked you but you think that they should?
You've really caught me off guard there. I don't know. What is a question that nobody's ever asked you?
That you feel like they should, as a founder, relatively young in the space as well. Maybe I should have sent you this beforehand.
I'd say, are my numbers that important? That's probably a question, because I do think, like, even from me being a founder, even with my clinic upstairs, the skills that I've learned from losing money and from being in such a cash tight position, now I want to make my clinic way more profitable. My clinic's already really profitable, the margins are great, but the skills I've learned from this business, I'm like, great, I can now just spend a day going through my P&L, cutting loads of costs, and I'll be making loads of money, like loads more money. I think as a founder, you have all these even with your personal finances, you get lazy. You have these subscriptions, you don't cancel them. My dad's taught me a really valuable lesson as well, is that when you're looking at cost cutting, you don't just look at it for the month, like when you multiply it by a year, because sometimes I look at a cost, I'm like, oh, it's only 100 quid. It's only 500 quid, it's fine. But then when I multiply it by the year and then add up all of them, it's about 20 grand. And then I'm like, best believe I'm cutting that. Whereas when I'm looking at it like £50 a month, it doesn't give me that same buzz to cut it, because it doesn't sound like a lot. Do you know what I mean? So I think definitely like invest in yourself in finance, whether that's getting a mentor who understands finance, watching YouTubes. I think understanding your P&L, your cash flow, especially your cash flow, and your balance sheet as well, but mainly your cash flow more than anything. Cash planning, P&L, getting to know that, I think is something that yeah, it would help a lot of people for sure. 100%. I had this girl actually message me on Instagram. She started a hair clip business and it's for like Pilates people so it doesn't snap. It's a really good idea actually. And she messaged me and I was like, you know what, like I just love helping people because when I was back then, the people that did help me, I will always remember that for the rest of my life. And I would love to have that same impact on people. So she was asking me all these questions and it was so nice to be able to guide someone fresh through my mistakes.
Give back a bit to the community.
Yeah, because she was on about like air freight and stuff. I was like, do not air freight. I was like, you can wait 2 months, trust me, because that's going to be wasting money you can spend on acquiring customers because you're going to need it because you've got no influence. I don't know. I did say to her, like, don't expect to sell out. And at the time I was like, maybe that's a bit mean to say, but I thought, I always expected to sell out when I brought my other products out and no one bought for 3 weeks. You're not going to sell it straight away, but it's okay because you are going to make it work. You've just got to keep on going. And I built her a spreadsheet and I shared it to her email of like all of her costs because she wanted to sell on Shopify or TikTok. She was asking me loads of questions. So I built a spreadsheet because I was like, you need to understand this. Like if you understand this, you can do anything because that's what it's all about. Last year, I felt like I was building my business so blind. I was so overwhelmed all the time because I had no idea. Like I'd lose money, but I'd have no idea why. I was like, how am I losing money?
You didn't have all the visibility you needed.
No, like I just didn't understand it. Whereas now I already know before the end of the month if we're making profit or if we've lost money and I know why. Maybe we paid recruitment fees this month and we're still quite tight, or the ad spend was 36% instead of 30%, or the overheads are too high. Do you know what I mean? Like I now know if we're losing money or not and I know why. And I think that's such a valuable skill that a lot of founders don't have. Like you need to know that because that is how you stay in the game before it gets too late, because most people, they get into a pickle and then they start getting loans and then it's too late. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, no, you need to know it yourself so that you can guide the way. Like if the algorithm changes, cool, I know I can strip back, I can still stay here because I know how to be flexible and adapt to the economy. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's interesting as well, you mentioned about your dad giving you the lesson that look, you're going to fail bigger next year, but what's been a bit of a core theme in Buy Babes in your personal journey is you failed upwards. It's always been about learning from what's happened and being able to get stronger from that. But look, Megan, we've really enjoyed this today. Where can people find you? Where can people find Buy Babes?
Instagram, TikTok, website. If you're going to buy from website, please, because more profitability.
Less commission.
Yeah, literally less commission from TikTok. So please buy from the website.
Awesome. Well, look, thank you very much for today.
Thank you so much.
It's been a good episode.